The baseline for automated floor care has shifted. What used to be considered top-tier technology has rapidly migrated down to the entry level. Features that commanded a massive premium just a few production cycles ago are now rolling off the assembly line as standard equipment on budget models. Look at the Dreame D9 Max Gen 2. It represents exactly how aggressive this market correction has become. Compare a 2022 flagship to the new D9 Max Gen 2. On the right, Dreame matches the premium tier point for point, 6,000 pascals of suction and a LiDAR turret. Here is the metric that matters most. You secure that hardware power for under $200. This pricing forces a serious question. Either you are getting a top-tier cleaning experience for a fraction of the cost, or the spec sheet is hiding a major compromise. To find that compromise, look at what Dreame left out of the box entirely. There is no towering docking station here. Instead of a massive base that empties the dustbin and washes the mop, the D9 Max Gen 2 ships with a simple, low-profile charging puck. This perfectly highlights the steep, hidden automation tax. When you buy a modern robot vacuum, you pay a steep premium for the dock that manages dirt and water. By stripping that automation away, Dreame reallocated their manufacturing budget. They dropped a high-end suction motor and laser navigation into a bare-bones chassis. The trade-off is direct. You keep hundreds of dollars in your bank account at checkout, but you pay for that savings with your own physical labor every day. Let's test that labor requirement, starting with dry vacuuming on standard floors. The 6,000 pascals of suction, combined with a floating rubber brush, successfully extracts heavy debris and pulls hair out of low-pile carpets. It also knows exactly where to apply that power thanks to LiDAR navigation. A spinning laser on top of the robot measures the geometry of your rooms in real time. This schematic illustrates the difference that laser makes. Instead of ping-ponging randomly around a room like older budget models, the D9 Max Gen 2 moves in deliberate, overlapping parallel rows to ensure total coverage. But that navigation has a hard limit. LiDAR accurately maps walls and large furniture, but the robot lacks AI RGB cameras to see small objects directly in its path. Without visual recognition, it relies entirely on its physical front bunker plate to detect things like dark chair legs, dropped charging cables, or pet toys. It has to hit them to know they are there. Then there is the capacity issue. The onboard dustbin holds 570 milliliters. When running at that 6,000 pascal maximum output, it fills up quickly. The machine navigates and cleans with the precision of a premium device, but because it cannot empty itself into a base station, your availability to manually empty the bin becomes the bottleneck for continuous operation. That manual labor requirement increases heavily when you engage the wet mopping system. The D9 Max Gen 2 uses a 235 milliliter electronic water tank that trickles moisture onto a static microfiber plate mop dragged behind the chassis. This animation highlights the mechanical limits of that setup. A static pad effectively wipes away fine surface dust, but it provides zero rotational scrubbing or downward pressure to break up sticky spills. The most significant workflow disruption is physical clearance. This static mop bracket cannot lift itself off the ground when it encounters a rug. If your home has a mix of hard floors and carpets, you have to physically intervene to prevent the robot from dragging a wet rag across your carpets. You are forced into a strict 2-cycle chore. First, run a vacuum-only cycle for the whole house. Then, physically fill the tank, attach the damp mop bracket, and launch a second cycle restricted solely to the hard floors. This mopping feature is an attachment, not an autonomous system. It demands your manual scheduling, physical assembly, and constant oversight. The real work begins after the cleaning run is finished, and the robot returns to its charging puck. If you leave a dirty, damp mop pad pinned between the robot and your floor, it will develop mold, create foul odors, and potentially warp wood flooring. This scorecard breaks down your post-run reality. Every time it mops, you must detach the pad, wash it in the sink, hang it up to dry, and tap out the dustbin over the trash. A fully automated $800 Ultra Dock handles all of those steps internally, keeping your hands entirely out of the dirt. Here, you are committing to a 3 to 5 minute chore every single day. The hardware will execute its cleaning routes flawlessly, but only if you are willing to clean and reset the hardware flawlessly when it finishes. With the daily workflow fully mapped out, we can determine exactly whose lifestyle matches this device. This quadrant chart plots home layouts against budgets. The D9 Max Gen 2 drops into the bottom right, heart floors under $200. Now, look at the upper left quadrant, the power user with large square footage, pets, and heavy carpets. A power user will despise this device. The constant bin emptying and the tedious daily removal of the mop bracket will completely erase the convenience of owning a robot vacuum. Now look at the minimalist profile glowing here in the bottom right. This represents strict budgets, apartments, and layouts comprised entirely of hard flooring. The minimalist gets the maximum return on investment. They secure top-tier LiDAR navigation and high suction power, completely sidestepping the friction of carpet transitions. The value of this machine is dictated by the specific architecture of your home, not the marketing numbers printed on the box. The budget market in 2026 has reached a remarkable state of maturity. Securing 6,000 pascals of suction and surgical laser precision for under $200 is an objective feat of hardware engineering. But that engineering comes with a permanent cost, the total absence of autonomy. This is not a set-it-and-forget-it appliance. Before you check out, you need to measure your tolerance for daily physical maintenance against the money you are saving. The Dreame D9 Max Gen 2 is an incredibly capable machine. Treat it as a highly intelligent power tool, and it will serve you well. Just remember that every power tool requires a dedicated human operator.